People are stupid.
Live to tape.
Welcome to Millennial 433. I'm Andrew.
I'm Laura.
I'm Pamela.
And joining us this week is actress and creator Mariana Novak. Mariana, thank you for being here. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing great. It's so good to be here. But here, yeah, just in the space with you.
Yeah.
Aww.
We're excited to have you.
Thank you.
Laura and Mariana, also two IRL friends, isn't that right?
It's true.
It became official yesterday when we had drinks together.
Yes, on the Beltline.
Ooh.
Fun fact, actually, after we met up, we went out with our boyfriends as well, and Mark was like, I approve of Mariana as a friend for you.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, thank you. I'm glad that you do. Didn't know that I needed your approval.
I knew that you liked me, but it's nice to know that he does too.
Right.
That actually, that can be important. Not that it's necessary, but it's good to hear.
Yeah.
That other people like your friends as well. Your significant other, especially.
It was fun times. I want to do it
Mariana,
again.
do you feel the same way about Mark?
Oh, 100%. I knew that I felt that way from the moment I met him for like 5 minutes the first time when I did.
It took me like 2 hours, but I did eventually come around to him.
Yeah, he's all right.
We approve, Laura. We approve.
So we do have some stuff to talk to Mariana about a little later today. We'll learn about her, and it'll explain why she's on the show. But we'll shoot the shit for a few minutes first. We do have to start with some sad news. We lost Senator John McCain over the weekend. He had been battling brain cancer for about a year now. He had announced, I guess that was late last week, that he was stopping treatment for his cancer. As you may have guessed, that was John McCain deciding now I think is the time to go. So he did. And it's really sad. It doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on, right? This was a great politician, maybe one of the last truly great ones, especially on the Republican side.
Yeah. I will admit that I was out at a bar when I heard the news, and then I went home and started watching the coverage and got a little emotional, actually. And of course, part of that is because it was truly sad what happened. You know, you feel a lot of sympathy for the family and how difficult this time must be for them. But I was also mourning what I saw to be like the last sane Republican in existence. I was like, well, they're all gone now. Mm-hmm. There are none left. And, you know, you of course end up dreading like, who are they going to get to replace him?
Of course, Trump botched this whole process. There was drama on Monday about lowering the flag too early, and then he raised the flag again. He also shied away from issuing a statement. It's amazing how many self-inflicted wounds he gives himself time and time again.
It's kind of just amazing that nobody on his team tells him to suck it up and just do it.
Yeah, because he can't suck it up.
Constantly surprises me, though.
So Trump was pissed at him for a couple of reasons. I mean, this wasn't a reason to be pissed at him, but Trump has said on the campaign trail multiple times he doesn't consider John McCain a hero because he got captured, which is just abhorrent, an abhorrent thing to say. And then also with the big healthcare debate late last year, McCain downvoted it, literally, put his thumb down. That was one of the most iconic moments in the Senate ever, I think, because that was caught on camera in the 11th hour. That was probably my favorite McCain memory.
Yeah, I think one of my favorites is one that came towards the end. Apparently, he requested prior to his death that he be eulogized by Barack Obama and George W. Bush, and also that he would rather Trump not attend his funeral.
Yeah.
And I was like, nice, man.
And based on the reaction we've seen from Trump, I'm not sure Trump would have even wanted to go.
No.
Rest in peace, John McCain. One of the last great Republicans out there. And I think that's one of the reasons why it was so sad, Laura. It's just, you know, in this day and age, it was nice to see him standing up against Trump. Now, some would argue it was because he wasn't going to run again. But still.
Yeah. I mean, listen, John McCain, in my opinion, he fucked up quite a bit. And he basically admitted that. There's more recent footage in the later years of his life where he said that there have been times in this country's history where it probably would have been better served without some of the decisions that he made. Sarah Palin. But at least he was man enough to own up to those choices. And it left you with this feeling, right, that you would never have a doubt that this person loved his country, right? Mm-hmm. So, like, was he an imperfect, flawed human? Yes, absolutely. But he loved his country. He was a patriot.
Yeah.
And that's served it. A sentiment. Yeah, it's a sentiment that we're not seeing out of Washington right now.
Exactly. John McCain, I give you a thumbs up. Rest in peace. See what I did there? Because he did a thumbs down. So I'm giving thumbs
We all got it.
Thought it was appropriate tribute. Anyway, we have some happier news from Georgia.
Yeah, so everyone might remember my tirade from last week's episode about Randolph County attempting to close down 7 of its 9 polling places in response to the ACLU threatening to sue the Board of Elections in Randolph County and also massive public pressure. They decided to back off on that particular plan. So that's not happening anymore, which means that all of the polling places will remain open in Randolph County, granting many, 55% of the county is Black. So granting many of its minority constituents the easy ability to reach their polling places and vote this November.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
And you were one of those people who fought back.
I mean, we have a relatively small audience. I don't know if you can credit me with that. I think it's more the ACLU.
Yeah, but pat yourself on the back, Laura. You were one of the people who contributed. We the people.
All right.
Okay.
I'm uncomfortable with that, but okay.
More good news for Laura. It's a great week for Laura. I have been reading today that the pumpkin spice latte is officially back as of August 28th.
Yes.
Laura, are you going to the midnight release party?
If they had one, I might actually go just for the spectacle of it. I would envision that it would be a bunch of blonde girls in yoga pants and Ugg boots, which would make me want to vomit, but it would also be just like a sight to behold. I will say this is good for me because today I found out that I have a vitamin D deficiency and PSLs have a lot of dairy in them. They're very milk heavy. So dairy helps with that. So I'm just going to be like, well, my doctor says I have to have one of these a day for my vitamin D deficiency.
I actually learned that a few years ago that the actual syrup they use also has dairy. So it's just like a little note for all of you fellow lactose intolerant people. I think I can get away with having like a cup of dairy if I wanted to, so it doesn't affect me. But if you're like super sensitive, maybe stay away from that.
I'm just hearing lots of good news for Laura right now.
I know. Mariana, will you come with me to the Bucks to get my first PSL of the season?
Laura, I was just about to say this is another reason why we're truly meant to be, because I too love PSL and I have yet to admit it to anybody in public. And I'm just I feel like #blessed right now because yes, I will join you for the midnight release and every day thereafter whenever you want one.
This is great. This is a millennial exclusive, everyone.
100%.
I'm not alone.
Well, Laura, here, I just loaded up the song. Let's hear a little bit of this real quick.
What up? We got a little PSA for you. A pumpkin spice announcement. You know what it is. Put your rugs on, bitch. Let's do this.
It's fall, bitch. You know what that means. Pumpkin spice, motherfuckers, with a PSL planes. Freaking iPhone, singing Don't Stop Believing. Dog filters on, bitch. Shit, I can't fucking eat. Screenshot my Snapchat, showing off my back tag. Double fisted PSLs on my yoga mat. You fucking know me, lady. I deflate these PSLs like my name is Tom Brady. 6 feet.
Double fisting PSLs on my yoga mat.
Oh, that's going to be me.
And me.
I really hope you're blasting that as you roll up to the Starbucks drive-thru.
Please do that.
Man, we are going to be like the ultimate white girls.
We should dress
Hell
up.
yeah.
We should dress up.
Yeah.
Full on Uggs.
Yeah, Uggs,
Yeah.
yoga pants, like blousey, loose tops. Put our hair up in
Louis
a messy
Vuitton,
bun.
but it'll be fake.
Yeah.
You can bring Canella with you so you can have, the best accessory.
Put her in a
Little
bag.
dog.
Oh, yeah. It's true.
In a handbag.
She hates people, though, so I don't think that would go well.
Oh, you two have a lot in common.
Yeah, we do.
I thought when I loaded that up, it was going to be that song we played last year, which went like PSL, PSL, da 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 da, PSL. Do you remember that?
Yes, and this was way better.
Please tell me there's a music video that goes along with this because
Yeah, there was.
Oh my god, I need it.
I'll put it in the show notes of this week's episode. It's Guys in Wigs. It was fantastic. Speaking of video, I just wanted to mention a couple weeks ago we had Mark on. And we were talking about streaming and how it's a profitable business. And I had joked that I'm going to do Sims Play Sims. I did end up doing that over the weekend on Patreon, and you can check out the videos there. It was a bit of a mess because it was my first time streaming, but I enjoyed it. There are 2 separate videos because my computer crashed like 3 times during the process. I guess it was just too much for my computer to handle, the Sims and streaming. And I was making my 2 Sim characters, Andrew and Patrick, have sex per the request of one of our listeners, Zach. So maybe it just got too hot to handle for my computer. Anyway, that is on Patreon now. And maybe I'll do it again sometime. I don't know.
When you play The Sims, do you ever get like really violent with your Sims? Like, I haven't played in a long time, but I remember when I was younger, like 12, and I would do like really fucked up shit, like let them get in the pool and then take out the pool ladder or like put them in a room with no doors and then like let the house burn. Like, I would do a lot of weird stuff. It's kind of amazing that I'm not a serial killer.
You use that experience to like work that all out offline,
Exactly.
like online. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I would do the house burning from time to time. I think I probably did the pool drowning as well once or twice. That can be fun. There's just so much to do in these newer Sims games that you're less bored, so you don't have to do stuff like that. And maybe I'll make this a recommendation for people. If you ever want to play The Sims, but you want to do it for cheap, at least on the Mac App Store, they have the Sims 2 Super Collection. And this is The Sims plus 5 expansion packs and 3 stuff packs, all for $30. And it's been upgraded, so it's like high-res graphics. It seems like a great way to play The Sims, but not get overwhelmed by everything The Sims has. And it's cheap, so I actually might buy this and then start streaming this next because it might be a lot more fun. Sometimes The Sims is just overwhelming. Anyway, we're going to talk with Mariana in a second, but first it's time to hear from one of our newer sponsors, not to be confused with Potter. They are Harry's. I love Harry's. I depend on Harry's. They make shaving an enjoyable experience. That's why I've been using them loyally for a couple years now. They've got the whole shaving process covered. Harry's offers high-quality razor blades and other fantastic grooming products at a very fair price. I love them because they give me a close shave, a comfortable glide, and a reliable product. I love their shaving handles, and I know that sounds weird, but they've got some weight to them. They feel good to hold. And I love their story. Harry's founders were fed up with overpaying for expensive razors with unnecessary features. They knew a great shave comes down to great blades made with sharp, durable steel that lasts. That's why they bought a factory that's been making some of the highest quality blades in the world for over 95 years. These are 5-blade razors, so you get a really close shave. And this isn't a bougie company. These guys want to appeal to the masses. They do that by selling directly to you over the internet. Harry's can offer their blades at a price much lower than the leading brand, just $2 per blade compared to $4 or more. And you know they believe in their product because they have a quality guarantee. If you don't like the shave, no problem. Let them know. You'll get a full refund. I want you to get the Harry's trial sets. You're going to love them and then switch, and you're never going to go elsewhere, just like me. For $13, you'll get that weighted handle, a 5-blade razor with lubricating strip and trimmer blade, a rich lathering shave gel, and a travel blade cover, which is important so you don't tear up your stuff in your travel bag. Listeners of our show can redeem their trial set at harrys.com/millennial. Make sure you go to harrys.com/millennial to redeem your offer and let them know I sent you to help support the show. Thanks.
Buy Harry's and you won't be hairy.
Why didn't I think of that? Why didn't they think of that?
I don't know. I feel like I should be making some serious bucks off that tagline.
I think so too.
Harry's, hit me up. I need
You're going to be able to charge $3 per razor blade because that tagline's so good.
All right. Well, Mariana, now it's time for you to shine. We wanted to do a little mini interview with you today, and just kind of talk about your background, what it is that got you into acting and producing. So first, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what you do, all that good stuff.
Well, born and raised in Russia, moved to America like 20 years ago, stayed in California the last almost 20 years, and then just recently moved to Atlanta a year ago. Mostly for the burgeoning film and TV scene. Yet I also have a day job, which is where, how I know Laura. And I'm working on auditioning and creating my own content at this time. And things have been going really well.
Cool. And what got you into acting and voiceover work?
What
was the impetus?
That's a great question. It's hard to answer, but my parents met in theater school. And so I like to say that it's kind of a disease that's been in my blood forever. Most of like the first half of my life, both of my parents kind of like made sure that I didn't ever think about going into the arts. They tried to convince me to go into something more practical. And I truly used to believe with my whole heart that the only thing I could be in life was a doctor or a lawyer, especially since, I'm a Russian immigrant and that's basically the extent of our options. So I ended up going to finish pre-med, did human biology as a major, Spanish minor, and ended up going into the tech workforce randomly and very quickly decided that this was for me. And I've always wanted to explore this creative side of me that I had just pushed off to the wayside. And I did theater in middle school and high school and college, but I never thought I could make an actual career out of it because I never truly believed in myself. So one day I just cracked, and it was really just like a big emotional outburst. And my stepdad at the time was just like, what do you need to go do? I've never seen the side of you. It looked like you were just on this clear-cut path to success in some way in the tech or medicine field. And with their support, with my parents' support, I just moved to LA and started from scratch and spent the last 5 years before I moved to Atlanta just figuring it all out. So I did everything from auditioning for short films that nobody will ever see, to casting projects, to producing projects, to just working on sets anytime I could get a chance to, even managing actors at one point, which is just a really dumb idea because, running your own career is difficult enough. And then running the careers of 10 other failed actors is just a little harder too. So it was an unconventional way of getting there, but it all happened kind of also naturally and just felt right once I finally settled into it and started believing myself and started booking, real television and commercial work.
Awesome.
Did you move to Atlanta because of the growing TV and film production, but did you think it would be easier in Atlanta just because there's not as much competition?
Yeah, that's mainly why. The industry here is huge, and obviously there's not as many actors here as there are in LA, although people are moving here every day. I mean, it's crazy. All my friends in LA always reach back. Once they see something that I've booked, they're like, wow, should I move to Atlanta too? And I'm like, well, it depends. It's definitely a slower pace of life in comparison to LA, but the opportunities for somebody at my level are incredible. I would never be on the shows that I've now been on here if I had stayed in LA, or at least it would have taken a lot longer.
I lived in LA for 9 years, and I just saw it going nowhere good.
Yeah, it's a pretty depressing
I had to
place,
get out.
right?
Yeah, it is overwhelming. I think that was very smart to move to Atlanta to continue pursuing your career.
Yeah, and it's been great. And I think at the end of the day, I definitely want to go back to LA because that's where that's the mecca of it all. And you have to kind of go back there eventually. But for this portion of my life, I've been enjoying experiencing a new place, especially the South, which I never thought I would end up in, especially as a Russian or just like a full-time California girl.
Yeah.
I felt my brain just literally just expanding and exploding in my mind, even as on my road trip here across the country. And it's just been doing that ever since, which is the greatest feeling.
Yeah. You mentioned a couple of things that you've booked since you've been here. Is there anything that you're allowed to talk about at this point? If not, it's okay.
Oh, yeah, no. So I have a small little role coming out on Netflix for the Ozark show with Jason Bateman. And that's coming out on the 31st. It's a really small part, but in the grand scheme of things, that is my bizarre career. It's a pretty big deal for me.
Well, I love that show, so I'm going to keep an eye out for you.
Oh, good. I'm so excited. Today, actually, they posted like an Instagram story introducing my character, and my heart sank into my stomach.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's really cool. It's not like a full on intro. It's mostly like the moment that happens right before you see my character. And, there's been so many times where I've either been on like a really big pilot or a big TV show, excited that I finally booked the role. And then, you get cut out. You just like end up on the editor's floor, not because you're bad, but just because they don't have the time for you or for your one line, So it's nice to know that in this case, I'm not going to be forgotten.
You're solidified on Netflix.
Yep.
Now, speaking of that, I do want to come back to a small clip from a bit that you did before, but I did want to ask, you and I have talked a lot about the pros and cons of breaking into showbiz as a woman in particular. So what are some of the things you've learned that might surprise people about that?
I don't know if this is surprising, but don't go to auditions in hotel rooms or apartments. Definitely did that. And after the Harvey Weinstein stuff came out, I'm like, yep, been there, kind of like have experienced that, definitely learned my lesson, and I wish I knew better. Like, and I'm a fairly like intelligent person, I think, and I still went to those hotels and apartments. Luckily, nothing too bad happened, but that's one thing to learn. Also, I think going into it, most of what I do is running a small business, and the small business is me. So I wish I had come into the knowing or had taken classes that were business focused in college instead of, chemistry that I obviously don't use anymore. Same thing goes with creating your own content, which is like the clip that you're about to show is something that I've created just on my own terms, and maybe having a bit of background in filmmaking earlier on, because I just started experimenting with it all at 23, 24, which is really pretty late. So that's one thing I was surprised to find out. Like, really, your career is in your hands. It's your job to put yourself out there, to create content, to have yourself seen, and learn everything you can about the industry, which is why, I did casting and producing and managing, and that's just enriched my business acumen as an actor.
So do you manage yourself, or do you have like an agent that helps you find these auditions? Because I feel like also having lived in LA and meeting people that are in this process, a lot of them always just kind of talk about how they're waiting for their agents to be proactive and send them roles. But it kind of sounds to me like you're doing a lot of that groundwork yourself, which is really cool.
Yeah, well, when it comes to auditioning for, stuff like Ozark or any other big thing out there, you have to have an agent. There's no way that those opportunities are going to be available to you if you don't have the right representation. When it comes to people waiting for their agents to get them something, it's true. At the end of the day, agencies like UTA and CAA, the big guys, are the ones that get those jobs first. And the little agencies, especially in LA, there's like 300 of them. They don't get as much work, and they don't get as much, they don't get their actors in the room as easily. So when it comes to agents, yeah, I have one in LA, I have one in Atlanta, I have one in New York, I have a manager here, I have a manager in Australia who like does like everything in terms of submitting me. But yeah, at the end of the day, like sometimes it doesn't make a difference, and you really have to push yourself out in the world and have people remember you before those casting directors are gonna be like, oh yeah, you know, so and so manager sent me Mariana, and I remember her from this thing that she did. Like she looks like she's an influencer, which I'm not, by the way. We can get into that later. But yeah, these influencers are just getting seen more than the average Joe who could be just as talented, but just doesn't create his own content or doesn't have as many followers or whatever.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, speaking of content creation, Andrew, can we go ahead and play that clip?
In Russia, we have proverb: if he beats you, he loves you. So contrary to popular belief, romance is not dead, even if 14,000 women are. And if you still have doubts,
the increasingly powerful Russian Orthodox Church is also in favor. It is said that criminalizing domestic violence contradicts moral and family values in Russian culture.
there you go! If 380 parliament members is not enough to convince you, and if Putin doesn't tickle your poos, the truth from God himself.
Oh, it's so good.
Oh,
So,
yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
When I watched this, I didn't know that you were from Russia. Is this like, did you have to recreate your Russian accent? Did you have one growing up?
I think I moved to the threshold where I started learning English at an early enough age where my accent wasn't as profound. So I never had to work on getting rid of it. But I go out for Russian stuff all the time. Like some of my first TV work is always like, oh, the Russian girl, or, you know, the Russian prostitute, or the Russian spy, obviously. And it's a niche. And unfortunately, I don't want to be known as like the girl with an accent or the girl that can do an accent, but it's definitely a way to have gotten myself into the door in certain cases.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. Well, on that note, being that we discuss a lot of politics on the show, we do have to ask, what's it like for your home country to be under so much scrutiny by Americans?
This is I was thinking about this a lot, especially since we talked about it yesterday too, Laura. As much as I'm grateful for my beautiful childhood that I had in Russia and how that experience added to my personality, worldview, and like just work as an actor, I do have a hard time accepting baseline Russian politics. Like aside from this election meddling business, like their disregard of basic human rights for prisoners, women, and like the LGBTQ community, like it's not something that I can just like be like, oh, well, that's just my country. It bothers me, and it makes me super grateful that I was allowed to stay in America and live my life here and be educated here. And my life would definitely be completely and utterly different from what it is today, and definitely worse because, you know, people have it worse in Russia in general. And I feel more American these days, but my heart still hurts when I see Russia in a negative light, solely because I still identify as partially Russian. Anyway, you have to. I'm grateful. But this has been going on for a long time. Every single like James Bond movie you'll ever see, or any movie in the last 40 years, Russians are always the bad guys. And now it's just like a more common thing because we really are the bad guys, and it's like real, not just make-believe. And I just wish people knew the Russia that I know, like a place that celebrates really beautiful things like art and music and family and nature. And the people I know, the Russians, are really kind and hospitable, incredibly fun people. To like have them portrayed in such a negative light is just like saying that all Americans are like Trump, right? It's such a crazy thing to say. But that's how people perceive it. And unfortunately, I wish I could do something about that. And maybe I will. I am working on a project that kind of conveys this, like puts Russians in a better light, in a narrative pilot that I've written with a friend. But, you know.
I gotta say though, it's kind of funny to hear you say that when you release a video like the one we just played.
Well, yeah, of course, of course, it's a journey, right? It's the first video in that series that you'll see. It's just me with my friend, like shooting the shit, improving, like how Russian girls are these like slutty money grabbing whores, basically. And it was just a joke. And from there, we wanted to like just make fun of being Russian. And then I was like, wait, this is an opportunity to have a political dialogue in like a Stephen Colbert-esque way. And then, yeah, but that was like 2 years ago. So things have definitely changed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about voiceover. I think people often see voiceover as like a dream gig. Like people think about it like, oh, you get to work from home, you get to be in your pajamas. And it comes across to people as easy. Is that true?
No, of course not. If it was easy, then everyone would do it. But it's a very cliquey, very small group of people that are actually full-time voiceover artists. Like I've been lucky enough to get a bunch of voiceover work, but now that I'm in Atlanta where there's less opportunities, I'm not going to be pushing myself out there as a voiceover artist. Let's say, just imagine the fact that since everyone can do it from their pajamas, as long as they have a microphone and a quiet place in their house, like the competition for voice acting is trifled that of like on-camera personalities, right? Mm-hmm. So making it like a side gig, like I have, is definitely not the way to do it. It's definitely a full-time job, and people that do it spend a lot of hours in front of a microphone alone in their house, straining their voice, like reading. It's like, I know you guys probably enjoy reading, but imagine reading out loud for hours at a time if you're doing an audiobook. It's not fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, if you're in it and you can make a career out of it, it's definitely like quote unquote like a pretty sweet gig, but it's really hard to get there.
Yeah. Have you done audiobooks?
Yeah, I did some audiobooks, shorter versions of audiobooks, like booklets.
Okay.
But
cool.
It's just something that I've never fully got into because I have all these other things that I'm working on. But whenever I have the opportunity to do it, I really enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't imagine how difficult an audiobook would be. I was thinking more like a quick commercial spot or something like that, where you're just like, come to Bill's Auto Shop today.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's pretty sweet, right? I've done that before, and you walk into a recording studio, spend an hour there, and you make $800, and it looks, oh my gosh, you made $800 off 1 hour, but how often am I going to really get those gigs, right? And that's where what comes into the equation.
Unless you're the movie trailer guy, there's a lot more work involved.
Yeah, for sure.
In a world.
Oh, R.I.P. He's dead.
Oh.
Oh.
Well, who took his place? Maybe that can be you.
Oh, well, I don't know. We're not that progressive in voiceover land yet.
True.
And just to kind of wrap us up on a light note, are there any juicy stories from life in the acting scene that you'd want to share with us?
Juicy stories. I mean, the last thing that was juicy that happened to me was definitely after I shot Ozark and Jason Bateman was directing, and he was just the nicest human being you could ever imagine, and that energy permeated through the whole set. And at the end of my time there, he came up to me to say goodbye, and I got very emotional because I really love the show, and I kind of like winced. I was like, "Thanks so much for having me. This is my favorite show." And I started crying, and it was so embarrassing. I couldn't control it. And he was so sweet. He tapped me on the shoulder. He was like, "Oh, there. It's okay." He wasn't sure what to do, and I was just like, "Just go. Just go. It's fine. I'm fine." And he was just like backed away slowly, but he was very, very sweet about it. That was the last juicy Hollywood thing that happened to me. So
That's funny.
I've been home a while.
That's pretty good, though.
It's pretty good.
I gotta say, Jason Bateman, I do enjoy him as an actor. And like I said, I like Ozark, but oh my God, I swear he plays the same character on every show or movie. It's always he's not playing a character. He's just Jason Bateman.
And it works, right? It's got him this far.
It does.
Yeah, there's a need for Jason Bateman in Hollywood.
We're all Jason Bateman at the end of the day, really.
I don't know. Yeah. I feel like in Ozark, he does this thing where like he's still Jason Bateman, but he's like a dark version.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Jason Bateman.
And it works.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the plot.
It's still, because he's still kind of funny at some moments.
Yeah, exactly. It's like dark humor.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Yeah, you do, by the way, have a great voice, Mariana.
Oh, thank you.
I can see why you were a voiceover. Oh, thank you. Well, I dabble in podcasting, so developed this over the years in a world.
Yeah, next thing we know, Andrew's going to just start trying to poach Mariana, get her on the show.
Laura's replacement.
That's right.
I am not
He's
nearly.
going to leave us high and dry and quit for a life of glitzy voiceover.
In pajamas, all the glitzy
Yeah,
glamour from your bedroom.
I would never get anything done. I would be tripping over my words too much. I mean, you see me sometimes on this show. I run amok.
That's what editing's for.
Yeah, that is what editing's for. And then I spend 80 hours fixing myself. But I leave everybody else's mistakes, so I look perfect.
What a jerk.
I'm kidding.
So, Mariana, if our listeners want to follow you, what's the best way for them to do that?
I guess I'm pretty active on Instagram. You can find me at it's Mariana Novak. Because Mariana Novak was taken. There's a lot of Mariana Novaks in Brazil. It's very weird.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't know that Novak was a common Brazilian surname.
Yep. It's not even my real name. I thought it was like making up a cool one, but not at all.
I have one more question. It does sound like you've been driven and to pursue this career. It sounds like you are in it for the long haul, for good. Are you settled on that now? Like you're going to do this till the day you die?
I am. Luckily, this profession everyone needs an actor at any age, right? There's roles, although like less roles for older women. They're still out there. Somebody will need me to play like a pharmaceutical ad grandma one day, and I just have faith in that I will book that.
Mm-hmm. Cool. I like it. And I like how you said earlier that you just had this realization that I need to quit my normal job and pursue this.
I will. That comes with a caveat, though. I think a lot of people do that, which is beautiful. But I think a true support system you can't do without. I can't imagine moving to LA without the support of my parents in that way. Because it's a tough life, tough business, and you want to quit every other day, and then something good happens, and you feel like you're on top of the world, and you get offset, and you're just back to normal life and your day job.
By the way, do you have an accountant?
I do not. Should I get one?
Well, you mentioned like doing the business side of things,
Yes.
and I was trying to do that by myself for a while, and that got really bad in the way of like fees and stuff because things weren't being filed because California wouldn't tell me that they had to be filed, and I didn't know. So stuff like that, and I got an accountant, and it was life changing. So
my dad's
I would
my
recommend
accountant.
that.
He's like the smartest
Oh.
finance man ever, and he just controls all my finances sometimes to an nth degree that I don't like. But he's smart as hell, and he keeps my taxes in order.
Oh, good. That's good. You're okay. So in a way, you do.
Yeah,
have
I
an
guess
accountant.
so. I never thought of him that way, but now I do.
Anybody out there looking to do a business on their own, please get an accountant. Don't be like me.
Hire Mariana's dad.
There you go.
Yes. Or if you want to buy a house, he does that too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's a mortgage broker.
I will have to keep that in mind.
Oh,
In California?
in California.
I'll have to keep that in mind.
Oh,
Thank
He's
you.
a cool
I
dude.
thought you were never coming back.
Well, I said LA.
Okay.
Yeah, not California. I'm not done with, but LA. I'm done with. Watch a year later. Hey, everybody! I'm moving to LA. I just missed it so much. I missed the crushing traffic, the high prices, the potential for a major earthquake that's going to wipe out half the city.
That's all of
Pollution.
California, buddy.
Yeah.
Pollution.
If you do it, I never want to hear you bitch about it again.
Oh, I'm definitely done with LA.
Getting into some news, we have to cover the story that had every person on this panel highly aroused last week. I mean, I'm at least speaking for myself. So
Yes.
the walls are closing in around President Trump as the Mueller investigation made several major developments. First off, Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort is facing life in prison after being found guilty on 8 counts of fraud and lying to the FBI. To be fair, this conviction is not directly related to Trump or the campaign. However, Manafort was found guilty of hiding millions of dollars in foreign bank accounts and lying to banks repeatedly to obtain millions of dollars in loans, according to the New York Times. While this is not directly related to Mueller's inquiry of Russian interference in the 2016 election, it was the first test of the special prosecutor's ability to prosecute a Trump ally amidst Trump's naysaying of the Mueller investigation. Now, that was all pretty cool, but
I'm at half staff right now. Can you give me any more?
I'm going. We're going to get you to full mass, baby.
Oh, yeah.
But
all
the
right.
really fun part caught us all by surprise on the same day when Michael Cohen, Trump's former personal attorney and fixer, pled guilty to a number of charges, including violating campaign finance law. He also implicated Trump and said that he had violated the law, quote, at the direction and in coordination with Trump.
Yes.
Now, this goes back to a number of stories involving the president allegedly paying out hush money to a couple of women, most notably Stormy Daniels. Trump has long denied that any such payment occurred, though his narrative has evolved as more and more evidence has stacked up that a payment was indeed made. Further, the prosecution alleged that Cohen made the payments on Trump's behalf and was then reimbursed by the Trump organization, which, if true, is very, very illegal, because paying someone hush money in order to benefit a candidate for federal office would count as an illegal campaign contribution. But wait, there's more.
Yes.
National Enquirer owner David Pecker and Trump Organization CFO Alan Weisselberg were granted immunity by the FBI. Now, to break that down for the lock her up crowd, when the FBI grants you immunity, it's because they think you have something to offer related to their investigations. Both Pecker and Weisselberg have clear ties to Trump, so it doesn't feel like much of a leap to speculate that they were granted immunity in exchange for dirt on Trump or Cohen, or both. And just a fun fact for all of you listening at home, the National Enquirer has a literal safe containing details of dirt on Trump. That's not fake news.
Oh,
That's
God.
real.
I just came 3 times while you were talking.
So it feels like we're simultaneously circling the drain, but we're also burdened with the knowledge that the current Congress would never impeach this motherfucker. So what do y'all think? Are midterms our only hope?
Yes. I still think none of the Republicans will want to impeach him. So hopefully this will motivate the left. And we still have to see. I mean, Mueller's not done yet. It is fascinating that this started as a Russian collusion investigation and has turned into something involving porn stars. And this is all because Donald Trump couldn't keep his dick in his pants while he was with Melania, by the way. It's just crazy. And for months now, I've been sitting here giggling like a schoolgirl. Oh my God, he went and fucked a porn star. Ha ha ha. And Laura's been like, well, I really don't care about his personal life unless it involves illegal campaign contributions. And
Ding, ding, ding. Yeah, this has just been fascinating to watch because it's like when it first started, Trump was like, no, I don't even know Stormy Daniels. And then it like eventually turned into, well, I didn't know about the payment.
yeah.
And now it's like, well, yeah, you did.
Right.
Yes, for
And
it.
we also can't forget that Cohen released that tape
Yep.
between him and Trump. So that proves that Trump knew. And we'll see what else Weisselberg and Pecker have to reveal.
Oh,
I mean,
that name.
It's just stunning how many people turn on him. And I read this good analysis piece the other day pointing out that Trump is so obsessed with himself, he can't understand why other people would actually go against him. He truly thinks that the world revolves around him. And his fatal mistake has been trusting people
Yeah,
to
well,
do awful things.
after Cohen flipped, Trump went on Twitter, which, by the way, everything he tweets is admissible. Like, it's all part of the investigation. And was like, if you're ever going to hire a lawyer, I definitely don't recommend Michael Cohen.
That was funny. You got to give him credit for that one.
I mean, it was funny, but it's also funny because so you're admitting that this is all true, right? Like, it's a low-key admission of like, yeah, I did something shitty and I wanted my attorney to keep it quiet, and he didn't.
I think his point only was that this guy will turn on you, not that he did something bad necessarily.
Or that he's a liar like everybody else that dares speak out against him.
Yeah.
Right. It is funny how only a few months ago he had high praise for Cohen on Twitter, well documented on Twitter. And I think there were some tweets in which Trump was like, after the raid at Cohen's office, Trump was like, there is no way Cohen would flip. There is no way. I have nothing to hide. And then he goes and flips.
Yeah, well, and it was funny because originally they were like best friends. And then when it started looking like things were shaky with Cohen, he went on Fox and Friends and was like, I don't really know him.
Yeah. Trump truly hires the worst people. It just speaks to how big a piece of shit he is. Not only that he fucks up on purpose, but all of these people he chooses to work with will turn on him.
Yeah. Well, looking ahead to 2020, we have an interesting story involving Lyft, right, Andrew?
We do, but I just want to point out one more thing, actually. What is Trump going to do in 2020, the presidential election? He can't go and pay off porn stars now, and you know more women are going to come forward. What? And now he doesn't have his fixer to fix things. I think scandals are going to be popping up left and right.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, it's pretty dangerous for there to be an excessive amount of blackmail material out in the world on the president. Because anytime the president is being blackmailed, it really means that the nation is being blackmailed.
Yeah.
So this should be fun.
I also just think he's banking on the fact that nobody cares, you know? Like, his diehard supporters just keep making excuses for why this is all okay.
Right.
So
the bar just slowly
he's going to
gets
ride
lower.
that wave until it just crashes out from under him, and he's got no way to come back up.
Yeah. So like Laura said, speaking of 2020, we actually have some good news concerning Lyft, and this will actually start later this year. Lyft has announced that they will start providing either free or 50% off rides on Election Day, being this November in America. This is pretty amazing. So Lyft has always been number 2 to Uber, but Lyft has always been regarded as the company that cares about its drivers, cares about doing good in the world. Lyft was the first to allow you to tip drivers. And that's actually something that really made me switch, because I thought that was really great that Lyft was taking the lead on that. So now Lyft is doing something else to win people over. Here's how you can get a ride for free to the voting booth. For voters in precincts that have been identified as in dire need of public transportation, Lyft will partner with organizations like Voto Latino and Urban League to identify these precincts and then offer free rides to the voting booth. And then pretty much everywhere else in the country, Lyft will be offering 50% off rides. They'll be issuing the promo codes in the days leading up to the election. In addition, they're developing a new in-app function that will tell you where your polling place is, so that if you don't know, Lyft will just take you to it. So I guess presumably you'll be able to hit a button that says, take me to my polling place. And it'll know that based on your, I guess, current location. So this is really great, because we have spoken in the past about how one of the biggest issues hurting turnout is that people simply can't get to their voting booths, and Lyft is helping. And maybe Uber will follow suit here. It certainly couldn't hurt them. It would only be good publicity for them, even if they are ripping off Lyft.
Yeah, I think this is fantastic, because actually one of the primary things that campaigns will ask their volunteers to do is transport people to and from polls on Election Day, simply because for the most part in this country, mass transit is not well established or maintained. Living in Atlanta, I can speak to this. MARTA is not super far reaching. There's only a handful of places that you can reasonably get riding MARTA. And it's limited. Like, if I didn't have a car where I lived, I'd be fucked. And I live inside the perimeter.
Yeah.
Also, sometimes it's expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And for low income voters, it's hard to justify spending money on this stuff. I took public transit in LA last time I was out there, and I think it was like $9 for a one-way trip because I went through like 3 zones, but the zones are super weird, and I just wouldn't judge anybody that didn't feel like they could spend that money.
Yeah. Just to go place a single vote.
Yeah. Do any of us think that we'll take advantage of this?
I guess it depends on where my polling place is. If I can't walk to it, then yes, I would definitely do this, even just to support Lyft here. I want to contribute to this program.
Yeah, same here. I would say this. Yeah. Sounds fun. Then go drinking afterwards so you have a Lyft ride back.
Yes. Go to Lady Bird.
Yeah.
What else does Lyft have to gain from this? Is it just good publicity? Do they want Democrats in office?
If you look at the primary demographics of who use any kind of ride-sharing service like this, plus the people who work like as drivers, they would tend to be more progressive-leaning individuals. So I would think on an individual level, there would be a motivation to get out the vote. But I also think that a lot of it does come down to the good publicity they're going to get. Now, I don't know if they're banking on, like, I don't know if this would even be legal, but getting any kind of kickbacks from campaigns to be like, hey, like, we will help subsidize you getting people to the polls if you offer this deal. I'm not sure if there would actually be anything illegal about that, because campaigns are already having their volunteers do that anyway.
That's true.
So this kind of seems like a win-win. I don't know. We'll have to look into that.
Yeah. It also is, that kind of brings up a good point, because we see how foreign nations, Mariana's home of Russia, are trying to influence the election. But here's a great example of a tech company influencing it in a good way. Just turning out people to vote.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, in Mariana's defense, it's the Russian government.
Thank you, Laura.
That's true. I apologize for speaking about your entire nation that way.
It's all good.
This is it does encourage me to support Lyft more. I think I will take a drunken ride home in one of their cars and maybe throw up in it to say thanks.
Will they charge you $100?
I forgot about that. I'll use your account, Pam.
Before we move on, we have another update from one of our sponsors, BioClarity. This is a green, gentle skincare line that helps me get naturally glowing skin that is 100% vegan, gluten, and hashtag cruelty-free. My skin has seriously never been better, and I'm happy to report that I was able to retire a concealer, which I mentioned a couple weeks ago, and I have not needed to continue using it. So the results have lasted, thanks to BioClarity reducing redness in my skin, which is fantastic. The BioClarity Essentials routine for normal or dry skin is an easy 3-step routine. Just cleanse, restore, and hydrate. The routine contains nourishing plant extracts like chamomile, green tea, cucumber, licorice root, oat kernel, plus Floralux, which is derived from chlorophyll. BioClarity helps fight breakouts, soothe skin, minimize redness, reduce pore size, and even out skin tone. After using the Essentials routine for a couple of weeks, someone asked me, I shit you not, if I was a high school senior.
Oh,
damn.
I am not making this shit up, guys. As always, and I can't say this enough, my favorite part of this routine is the hydrate step. This lightweight, non-greasy moisturizer is perfect for reducing redness and minimizing pore size. It is like a green smoothie for your face. That's because BioClarity's unique ingredient, Floralux, is a clever form of chlorophyll, and it's proven for nourishing the skin and soothing away imperfections and blemishes. Floralux has antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties that feed your skin from the outside in. BioClarity is delivered straight to you and is an easy-to-use 3-step skincare routine that will leave you with glowing skin. Get started on healthier habits with your skincare. Just go to bioclarity.com. Our listeners will get their first month for 50% off a routine, plus shipping is free. And it all comes with a 100% risk-free money-back guarantee, but you need to enter our code MIL. That's bioclarity.com and enter our code MIL.
You do have really nice skin.
Thank you.
I always think about that when I look at your face.
Oh, I'm so flattered.
I can't wait to see you in Chicago. I need to take a good look at this face.
Ooh. Oh, you'll always get a good look at my face, babe.
Yeah, when I'm over top of you. Too far, sorry. I apologize.
It's okay. We've been dancing this dance for years, Andrew.
Good luck transitioning out of that, Pam.
You know, that might be a little bit illegal concerning this upcoming story.
True.
Well, I'm sure that all of us at some point remember our first job. It probably wasn't super glamorous, but teenagers are looking towards a much more glamorous source of income when it comes to summer jobs, where The Atlantic is reporting that the new trend is for teens to get paid to advertise brands' products on Instagram. So on average, teenagers who choose to use this as a form of, work or a summer job have a following of at least 1,000 people, and they can earn between $5 to $20 per photo. Now, that doesn't really sound like a lot, but when you add it up, it actually amasses to about a couple $100s per month. And that's a pretty big chunk of change for, somebody so young. So there are a couple of benefits to this, aside from it seeming super glamorous, of course. For one, on the teenager side, they get to work a more relaxed job. They probably don't have to clock in as many hours because it's at their own time, and they can start a lot younger, which is good if you're trying to, save money to go out with all your friends to the mall or to the movies or whatever. But on the brand side, there's obviously a lot of advantages to this as well. For one, they get to kind of spread the word amongst their target audience, and it comes off as way more organic than seeing an ad run before a YouTube video or before a television show. There are a couple of downsides as well, because brands striking these deals with teens, they're kind of doing it in private, so there's no formal contract and no enforcement to make sure everything stays well and ethical. And also, a lot of people argue that maybe it's saturating Instagram a little too much and making the app a little less enjoyable when all you're seeing are ads. So there's a lot to unpack here, but let's just kind of, I guess, start off, what do you guys think about this? This is kind of crazy that we're living in an age where teens can make money pimping out products to their fellow peers.
Yeah, I had to wait until I was 28 to start doing that. And do 10 years of podcasting first. This is bullshit.
Yeah, I was shocked. And the Atlantic article has some examples of these teens who are doing this. It's part funny, but also really? Do these brands really think they'll benefit off of this? It does seem like there's this big bubble right now, in my opinion, with these brands using influencers to promote their shit. I just feel like there's a lot of money being spent here, not even with teens, but just with the Tyler Oakleys of the world.
That's so funny that you mentioned that, because I feel like almost any YouTube video I watch, save for maybe one or two people, they're all advertising Audible like it's the newest thing to come on the market. But podcasters have been advertising Audible for years.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Mariana, as a hustler yourself, what do you make of this?
I mean, my honestly first thought is the skills that you learn in your first few jobs. I started working at 14 at my dad's office or something, and then I went into retail and then restaurants. Those skills are invaluable, and they do not compare to taking a photo of you using sugar bear candy or something to grow your hair. And that's just wild to me. Although not surprising, because I knew this was happening. I just didn't realize that teens were being coerced into this and making a living out of it already. Yeah. That's crazy to me. And also, I do have to mention that a lot of this money that's being spent with these brands towards social media influencers takes away from people that they put in their commercials, for instance, because a lot of commercial work is going non-union, which really fucks
Yeah.
the union actors. And so that's definitely a topic close to my heart.
Yeah. Well, and I think the brands enjoy doing this because the rules are probably loosey goosey. I see a couple of posts in this Atlantic article that have hashtag SP or hashtag ad, but I think they can get away with not classifying this as an ad because they're just teens. Who's gonna come after them? And they might be able to negotiate a lot lower rates with these teens because they don't know any better. $20 is $20. That sounds amazing.
I was going to say, I feel like if anything, they are taking advantage of the lower cost of labor. A wise prophet once said, know yourself, know your worth. And I feel like as you get older, you realize that the things that come so easily to you, those skills are skills that not a lot of people have, and it's hard to know your value and to understand that you should charge more for your experience and the things that other people can't do that you can. But when you're this young, you're just so excited that somebody's offering you something that you enjoy for free.
Yeah.
And it's such a slippery, dangerous slope.
It's also kind of creepy that the brands are talking to teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And then going back to what Mariana was saying, like that this is taking away jobs from union workers who, make a profession out of booking commercials and stuff like that. One of the things that the Atlantic article brings up is that kids are actually turning to this as a source of income because it's becoming increasingly harder to get traditional service jobs, mainly because a lot of these companies, they want to hire people that are older, 18, 21 plus, and also because the market is so oversaturated with all of us college grads who still need to, supplement income other ways while we try and look for jobs that we were promised we would have after we went through, 4, 6, 8 years of education.
Plus brick and mortar going away. Thanks to Amazon.
That's a really good point. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I never would have imagined being able to do something like this. I'm very grateful that we have the opportunity on the podcast. But I will say, like, we have hard limits on this show about how many ads we can have. Sometimes I have to unfollow people on Instagram sometimes because they post way too many ads. Like, I think I was following Tom Felton for a while on Instagram. But then he was posting all these ads, and I was like, this is so stupid. You have all the money in the world, Tom Felton. You don't need these sponsored Instagram posts. Go away.
Yeah, and what's bothersome about that, too, is I get the impression following some of these influencers that they will hawk anything. Whereas, here on the show, we make an effort to only speak to products that we've tried and that we're confident in. Like, we're not going to advertise something really shitty. Right. And I see a lot of people on Instagram just have this organic, I don't know, amulet to cure your cancer or some weird shit that people are into. That's just it's not a tried and true product. And to me, I feel like when you're advertising a product, there has to be a level of trust between yourself and the consumer.
And also authenticity is a big one too. I mean, obviously, this show runs ads, but even from a journalist perspective, we get sent things all the time in PR. A few months ago, HBO sent me a bottle of wine unsolicited that's from their Game of Thrones line. And that's great. But I just kind of don't feel like just because you send me something, I have to like it or I have to talk about it because there was no deal set in place,
Yeah.
And, but it's always so important to me and my brand as a writer that even if I get invited to a screener, it's never just completely positive. If I didn't like something, I'm going to tell you. And it does become harder and harder, especially on Instagram with these social media influencers, to believe that they enjoy everything that they're sent.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Because in the case of Instagram, you can spend maybe 10 minutes making a post and you'll suddenly make, I don't know, depending on your following, of course, $5,000-$10,000. Like the Queer Eye guys, I think I bitched about this a couple
Anthony
months ago.
And his underwear.
Yeah, they got, well, not just underwear. He's working with Whole Foods and all these other Queer Eye guys. Look, I'm happy that they get sponsored posts, but can you turn it down a little bit? We don't need so many of these posts. But you're so right about not letting your opinion get influenced based on receiving free stuff. That's very important to me, too, and anybody that I work with. I want people to be honest on Hypable. Like, I went down to Universal for that new hotel, and the trip was covered, but I still shared some aspects of the hotel that I thought were poorly thought through. And I still sent it to the publicist, and she still loved it, because that's what's expected. Honesty. If you're working with anyone who is going to give you, who expects blind rave reviews, then you're not working with the right people.
Are these kids paying taxes?
This is my question too, as a self-employed individual.
I bet they're not. I bet some of these parents might be encouraging them, but I bet others are just like, we'll just let this fly under the table.
But I also know, and I can't give you guys specific numbers, but there's like a certain amount that you can make if you're underage that you don't have to disclose. So as long as they're not making like thousands upon thousands of dollars, then I think they're okay. If it's a couple hundred, like the IRS isn't going to come after them.
Yeah, I think if you're making under $600, you get 1099. And
right.
You don't actually owe any tax on that. But it's interesting because it's like, okay, well, if you're making $200 here and $200 there, and it's all from separate companies, like at that point, are you technically liable, or is anybody looking? Like, to me, this kind of reminds me of like the Wild West days of the internet back when we were all a little bit younger.
Yep.
Yeah, and there was definitely like PayPal back when we were teenagers was not monitored by the IRS, and it is now. You know, so there was a time where you could get paid in PayPal and nobody would be any the wiser.
Yeah, it wouldn't be tracked.
Yeah.
You could get away with so much shit.
Or like you were supposed to pay taxes on Amazon purchases after.
Oh, yeah.
And
Who the
nobody
fuck
was doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, you had to report that yourself.
Yeah, it's like nobody's going to report that.
Yeah. It's just like, and I guess I'll admit to doing this, if you win money at the casino, you're supposed to report it on your tax returns. Am I reporting that shit?
Depends
Fuck
on
no.
how much money you win, though, because like my great-grandma, before she died, she won a lot of money, and we had to report it.
Well, and in that case, I think the casino comes up to you and is like, hey, here's a form. You need to take this.
They did not let her leave until they filed paperwork. Like, that's how much money she won. It was crazy.
Yeah, yeah. One last point about the Instagramming teens making money. I have to think the companies are making them fill out tax forms, especially if they are hitting that $600 threshold, because they gotta explain where their money is being spent.
That's a good point. And they're like, just like really quickly, these are like big companies too. I was shocked just looking at some of the posts. Like, I thought it was going to be, you know, smaller indie brands and stuff, but there's like big makeup companies that Sephora carries that are shelling out money to these kids. Like, clearly I'm in the wrong profession. I should just be.
I would happily make sponsored posts for Fenty Beauty. So Rihanna, hit me up.
Actually, I know a copy editor for Fenty Beauty. Maybe I should reach out on behalf of both of us.
Oh my God, yes.
How about some millennial ads? Forget your personal Instagram posts. Look out for all of us.
Do Laura and I get free makeup?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay,
and
perfect.
you each can have more than my cut.
Okay, that works for me.
Okay, one more story today, and we're going to make this one of our number segments to educate our audience. You may have heard about the shooting that took place in Jacksonville, Florida on Sunday. It happened at a Madden, that's the video game, tournament. It was actually, in a sign of our day and age, it was captured live on Twitch because the tournament was being live streamed. The shooter was a 24-year-old gamer from Baltimore. He had come down to actually compete in this tournament. He lost. We don't know if that was the motive just yet. The details are still early. But he did fire quite a few bullets into the venue. In addition to the 2 people that died, he also died. He killed himself. And 9 other people suffered gunshot wounds. And 2 others were injured fleeing the area. So, very sad, and just another reminder that you can't be anywhere without running the risk of getting shot in America.
I gotta tell you, those video games are just so dangerous.
Yeah, let's pray that the right does not bring it up this time, because it is a football video game. It is not. It's not one of these shooters. It's not Grand Theft. It wasn't a Grand Theft Auto tournament.
Oh, well, you just completely disassembled their favorite talking point, Andrew. What are they going to do now?
Well, I just used a little bit of sense to make it, so maybe they can pick some of that up as well.
Well, on this show, we've talked about the need to address gun violence a lot. So you probably already know everything that we would already say about this. So we decided that we're going to let the numbers speak for us by playing a round of the number. And Mariana, I'm really glad that you're here with us today, because it gives us an opportunity to re-explain the rules of this game for anyone listening at home who may not remember. So this is the game where we present facts and statistics, but we leave the numbers out of those facts, and we make everyone on the panel guess what the answers are. Does this sound good to everyone?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
All right. For the first one, United States citizens own half of the world's guns, even though the United States only makes up what % of the world's population?
Ooh, a world population question. 7%.
Oh, there's no options like A, B, or C?
Nope.
Damn it.
I think it's lower than that. I feel like we're like 3%.
I'm going to go with 5.
All right, Pam, you were the closest. It's 4.4%. Oh, actually, Mariana was closest. 4.4%.
Okay.
So half of the world's guns, but we only make up 4.4% of the world population. All right, next one. For every 1 million people, the U.S. experiences 30 gun-related homicides per year. The next closest country to us is Switzerland, with how many gun-related homicides per year?
10.
14.
1.
Mariana, again, you were the closest. 8.
Wow. Doing really great in life.
Can you imagine, like, 8?
Yeah, that's crazy. I've
Per
always
million?
wanted to move
Per
to
million? Yeah,
Switzerland.
exactly.
That is insane.
All right, next one. Since the Sandy Hook Elementary School massacre in 2012, wherein 20 children and 6 adults were murdered, the U.S. has experienced how many mass shootings?
540. Because isn't mass shootings characterized as like 3 or more?
Mm-hmm.
2 or more? Okay.
Oh, then it has to be more than that.
Duh.
Yeah. God. Is it like 1,200?
Oh, I'm going to go with the middle one. I'm going to go with 900.
All right, Pam, you won this one. The answer is 1,600.
Oh my God.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's insane.
We gave our country more credit than it deserved.
Yeah.
Oh,
You were thinking that we were a little more sane than we actually are.
No,
Yeah.
Because if it's only
Sorry.
3 or more, that's literally... I feel like mass shooting is a term that we feel like it means more casualties than it is. That's
Mhm.
crazy.
Right.
Right. All right, the next one. The United States is home to what % of the world's mass shooters?
This is going to be a scary number. I'm going to say 92%.
I'm going to say 65.
I'm going to say 80.
All right. The number is 31%.
Oh, fuck.
However, I will observe this figure compares the U.S. to all countries, not just developed ones. So most statistics for this only compare the U.S. to other developed ones like the U.K., Australia, most of Europe, things like that. This is comparing us to the entire world. And when you think about the fact that there are several countries on this planet that are practically active war zones, it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
31%. All right, and the last one, on average, gun homicide rates are how many times higher in the U.S. than in other countries with similar income and education levels?
7 times.
10 times.
Oh, God. I don't know. I'll go lower. I'll say 5 times.
All right, Mariana, you were the closest. It's 25 times higher.
Oh my God.
All right. Beginner's luck. Look at you. Good job.
Yeah.
Truly beginner's luck.
You got this. We're going to have to call you the next time we play the number.
I'll be here.
This is great. We can just use the number to lighten the discussions around horrific events that happen in this country.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's almost time for Surprise Bitch, but first it's time for a word from one of our sponsors, ZipRecruiter. Hiring is challenging. I know this. It can be a struggle to find the right person to hire at Hypable, but there's one place you can go where hiring is simple, fast, and smart. A place where growing businesses connect to qualified candidates. That place is ZipRecruiter.com/millennial. With ZipRecruiter, you can post your job to over 100 of the web's leading job boards with just one click. Then ZipRecruiter puts its smart matching technology to work, actively notifying qualified candidates about your job within minutes of posting so you receive the best possible matches. That's why ZipRecruiter is different. Unlike other hiring sites, ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on the right candidates finding you. It will find them. So it's nice and easy. ZipRecruiter is so effective that 80% of employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. And with results like that, it's no wonder that ZipRecruiter is the highest rated hiring site in America. Right now, our listeners can try ZipRecruiter for free at this exclusive web address. It is ZipRecruiter.com/millennial. That's ZipRecruiter.com/MILLENNIAL. Again, ZipRecruiter.com/millennial. ZipRecruiter is the smartest way to hire. Okay, to wrap up the show today, it's time for
Surprise, bitch!
And today we're going to call Catherine in New Orleans. Oh, shit.
Hello.
Oh, my God, Catherine, you picked up so quick.
Oh, my God.
Surprise, it's Millennial. How are you?
Oh, my God. I'm great. I was just listening to you guys.
Oh, no wonder you picked up so quick.
I was like, unknown number? Who could it be?
What creep is calling me from an unknown number?
I know. How weird.
Yeah. You live in New Orleans?
I do. I live right outside of New Orleans.
Cool. What is that like?
It's fun. I've lived here all my life, so when people talk about, Mardi Gras and crazy and boobs, and I'm like, nah, that's a regular Friday for me, regular Tuesday.
Did you say and booze or and boobs?
Well, I guess both apply.
Yeah. I seriously believe that New Orleans is the craziest city in this country. I used to think that was Vegas, but then I went to New Orleans and oh my God, shit show on Bourbon Street.
See, I never really thought that, and I've been to Bourbon quite a few times, but most recently I went a couple of weeks ago, and it's the first time that I've ever seen someone flash for beads. Like, I've never seen boobs before that. Like, at least not, right up and close for some plastic beads. Like, it's not even Mardi Gras season. That's so annoying.
Tourist. You got to do it, though. It's just one of the things you got to do. TripAdvisor. It's the number one thing to do down there. Flash your boobs for beads.
I mean, you could also just, get them for free. They're really cheap.
Uh-huh. The food scene down there is also really fantastic, isn't it?
Oh, yes. I love the food here. I hate leaving and being like, ugh.
Yeah.
It's just not as good.
Yeah.
Not as seasoned. And there's no sweet tea like in the north, so that's not fun.
Right?
Oh.
That's a problem that myself as a Southerner, when I lived in New York, I encountered frequently. Anytime I went somewhere that purported to be like a Southern soul food place or that did barbecue, the sweet tea was wrong every fucking time.
Exactly. Exactly. Every time.
I like how you don't say tasted bad or incorrect. The sweet tea was just wrong.
Yes, because there's a preparation method. You can't just put sugar in it. Like, there's a whole thing that has to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Since New Orleans is big for tourists, can you give our listeners a recommendation? Like, if they were to go down there, where would you recommend that maybe is off the beaten path? Like, maybe a great place to eat or drink?
I would just say, like, just know that New Orleans isn't just Bourbon Street, you know? It's not just the French Quarter. Like, there is so much other stuff. If you go to, like, the smaller cities outside of New Orleans, like Metairie and Kenner, you'll find a bunch of, like, different Mexican places, a bunch of different, like, tourist attractions that a lot of people don't know about. Like, my favorite Mexican restaurant, and I will swear till the day I die, is Tacos El Gordo. It's in Kenner on Williams, and they have the most authentic Mexican food I have ever had in my life. And you wouldn't know that if you didn't leave New Orleans.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
I might be going there next year, so I'll have to try it.
Oh my gosh, so good. They make in-house guacamole and chips. Orgasmic, just like, ugh.
That's fantastic.
Amazing.
What have you been up to down there recently? What do you do?
Well, I'm currently a teaching assistant, which is fun. But actually, I was really excited when Mariana was on the show because I actually recently graduated from LSU with a theater degree.
Oh, cool.
Ooh.
Yeah. Okay. So I was like, oh, another actress. That's so cool to hear from.
Yeah. So you got some acting aspirations. And New Orleans, actually, they film down there in Louisiana.
They do. They do a lot of filming down here. And just like the theater community in general is pretty big down here that a lot of people don't know about. So, yeah, that's kind of like what I do at night. And I work at a elementary school during the day.
Cool.
I
Good for you.
Yeah.
A few words of advice. Since you're in Louisiana, don't feel feel free to like reach out to Atlanta agents and still pursue auditioning here once you're ready, because mostly everything is self-tape, and you can, if you have the ability to drive over to Atlanta for a shoot day or for a callback, then you should definitely do that.
Totally.
And
thank you.
And thanks for following me on Instagram. That's so nice.
I did. As in, I'm personally like I have an Instagram following that I'm trying to build currently. Another thing I was talking about, like influencers and stuff. Yeah. You girls got to get some money, like you got to make money somehow. And
right.
I've gotten a few dollars here and there, but
yeah, cool.
So yeah.
Well, and if that doesn't work out, you can apparently make posts on Instagram for $5 to $20.
Hell, why not? You got to do what you got to do, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm all about it.
That's what we all should do. We should be going to these brands and being like, hey, I'll do it for $3. Just undercut the teens. I'll take $3.
Absolutely. Yeah. Those younger kids stealing our jobs.
We're going to steal them back with even lower wages.
And then the Gen Z kids are going to feel about us much in the way that we feel about baby boomers.
Exactly.
It's full circle.
Yeah. Well, Catherine, it was nice speaking to you. Thanks for your longtime support. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
And thank you for answering the phone.
So much.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Yay. I got a positive. Yay.
Right. Have a good night.
You too.
Bye, Catherine.
Bye. Bye.
Oh, she was sweet. If you want to be in the running for Surprise Bitch, you can support us over at patreon.com/millennial. It is what keeps the lights on here. We've spoken about creators today and that side hustle. This is how we do it. Again, patreon.com/millennial. You'll get access to being able to co-host the show, being in the running for Surprise Bitch, bonus audio, The Landy Show, ad-free millennial, After Dark, hashing it out. Today's hashing it out almost felt like an episode of the show, so much so that Mariana thought that we were already recording.
You guys are just so personable on the phone.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm blushing.
We got good chemistry. Coming up in After Dark today, we're going to do a couple of WTF news stories, and we're going to talk about how tech is affecting not only our friendships, but our relationships. We've talked about how it has impacted our lives in regards to things like online dating, but not so much about how it affects our interpersonal relationships. So we will talk about that and maybe some drama that's been going on in the relationships. We'll see. To close us out today, not a song, but some dialogue from John McCain. This is one of McCain's best moments when he was competing against Obama in the 2008 election. One of McCain's supporters tried to call Obama an Arab, and McCain stopped her in her tracks. And that was one of his best moments and an important thing to hear in this day and age. So we'll play that in a second. Mariana, thanks for joining us. It was great having you.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you were fantastic.
Laura, you pick good friends.
I know. Thanks. I'm so glad that you approve too.
Yeah.
Another one on the checklist.
When you come up here, maybe you can find some friends for me, because I still don't have friends, and I guess I just need somebody to hire them for me.
Oh my God, can that be my job?
Yeah, I'll pay you $3 per friend.
I can just be a professional friend networker.
Friend consultant. Was it you who said this to me recently-ish? You're like, well, we do have friends. They're just all online.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, yeah, I guess that's true.
Yeah, I feel like easily 60% of my friends live in the internet.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Thanks, everybody, for listening. I'm Andrew.
I'm Laura.
I'm Pamela.
I'm Mariana. For now.
For now. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
I just now look. I
got to ask you a question. I do not believe in. I can't trust Obama. I have read about him, and he's an Arab. He is not.
No, ma'am. He's a decent family man, citizen that I just happen to have disagreements with on fundamental issues, and that's what this campaign is all about. He's not. Thank you.
Fucking woman.
He's an Arab.
The only thing that I hate about that is I feel like he should have been like, well, Arabs can also be decent family men who care about this country. Like, you know, just the whole like, no, he's not. He's a decent man. I'm like, oh, come on, yeah. John McCain.
Well, and he said of this country, didn't he?
Yeah, but he had a little bit of time. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Come on.
Yeah,
look
I
at
know.
Laura speaking
But
ill
I
of the
understand what you're getting at, too, because there's so much toxicity in this country for people that are different from us. And it's just unfortunate that there are so many people out there like this woman who believe that just because somebody comes from somewhere else, they're not to be trusted.